I haven't checked my emails in a while. Oh, an email from John Stanford. Ben, congratulations, future Cardinal. On behalf of Stanford Admission Councils of Secrets, you've been accepted in the Natural Gas and Natural Gas Studies. You have been given full tuition and room and board for your entry. We hope to see you at admin at weekend. Best, John Stanford, creator of Stanford University. I didn't really want to go to Stanford, but with full tuition because of my 5.5 GPA and 1600 SAT score, I guess I'll go. It looks like I didn't get the art history major that I wanted, but natural gas studies seems cool too, I guess.
Well, hey there. Are you the professor of natural gas and natural gas enthusiasts?
That would be me.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I have no idea what natural gas is. Would you please enlighten me on the subject, Professor?
Well, it's Stanford's professor of natural gas and natural gas enthusiasts. I can sure tell you all about that. Well, natural gas is a compound that's mainly made up of methane, which is of one carbon and four hydrogen atoms. Natural gas also contains trace amounts of smaller hydrocarbons, mainly propane and some other anes.
Wow, that's really interesting. Thank you for informing me, Professor.
Of course. I'm so glad I could help you.
The Krusty Krab is unfair.
What is that?
Is this guy trying to indoctrinate you into believing in natural gas? I'll bet you didn't know that natural gas is the third most polluting fossil fuel in the world.
I had no idea.
Are you really coming on my turf questioning my PhD about natural gas?
Sorry about that. That happens sometimes.
I'm gonna have to see my counselor after that.
No, come back. I still have more to teach you.
Well, I guess I better get a hold of my counselor now. Hello?
Hello?
I'd like to make an appointment with the counselor.
Yeah, sure.
Alright, when can I show up?
Just right now.
Alright, thank you. Hello?
So, what can I help you with today?
I'm pretty torn on whether natural gas is a good thing or a bad thing.
That sounds terrible. I'm sorry. There are many pros and cons of using natural gas. One of the main cons is that natural gas is a greenhouse gas. It is also very dangerous because it is easily flammable.
And what about the pros?
When it comes to the pros, natural gas is a lot cheaper than other forms of energy, and it's in abundant supply.
Well, if it's in abundant supply, then why don't we use more of it?
Well, as I said before, extraction of natural gas can release methane into the atmosphere, and methane is one of the biggest greenhouse gases, which can have many negative effects on the atmosphere.
How do you know all this? It's kind of weird for a counselor.
I majored in natural gas studies in college. I minored in psychology. It sounds like you have a lot of problems. I'm going to prescribe you with Vicodin.
No, I'm okay. Thank you, though.
And unfortunately, those babies were never found. Welcome back. My name is Raiden Riggs, the drama newscaster / therapist here at Stanford University. Today, we have something special. Our guests, Aiden Potzel, Luca Maniscalco, and Ben Landucci. Aiden Potzel is our natural gases professor here at our wonderful school. Luca Maniscalco is a local who hates natural gases so much he protests at lectures for some reason. Ben is a new oncoming student under Mr. Potzel. This is personally good for me since I know literally everything about natural gases, but I don't know which side I should support. So, everyone, what are your positions?
I personally believe that it is the best fuel around for anything. It is the cleanest out of all the fossil fuels, and it's very easy to get and relatively cheap too. It's what powers the world.
Huh. That's very compelling, Mr. Professor Potzel. What about you, Luca?
That doesn't change the fact that it still releases carbon dioxide, monoxide, and other carbon compounds into the atmosphere. It produces way too much greenhouse gas.
Actually, it doesn't even produce that many pollutants when compared to some other fossil fuels. It produces 45% less CO2 into the atmosphere than coal and 30% less CO2 than gasoline.
Even if it produces less CO2, it's still not a renewable energy source. We should spend our money on something that future generations can use instead of something that's going to run out sometime.
Well, we have 1 trillion barrels of natural gas in the US Reserve alone, which could supply us for a very long time. Not sure on the exact amount of time it could serve us though, but we still have sites to discover that with natural gas in them. I see no problem with this in the future.
That would be a lot, except that the US uses 27.3 trillion cubic feet of natural gas every year. Those reserves are going to run out very quickly, and then what are we going to be left with?
We aren't far enough into the future yet, so for the time being we need a way to produce gas for engines, heating, and cooking purposes, and natural gas is the cheapest way. Natural gas vehicles are far more efficient as are other engines powered by it, which makes them cheaper to run. Since most of the engines in the world of all types are gas-based, the cost of converting or replacing them would be prohibitive.
Even if it's cheaper when it comes to running cars, you're not thinking about the cost of implementing an entirely natural gas-based fuel system. In the end, the infrastructure necessary would cost just as much, if not more, than switching to an entirely renewable resource-based alternative.
Out of all the natural gases though, it is easiest to transport via ships, tankers, and pipes. It is lighter and easier to be transported in terms of a carbon footprint. It is what makes it a viable in residential homes as of now, since we don't have any better alternatives. We also wouldn't have plastics, chemicals, fertilizers, and hydrogen.
And on that note, I think it's time for our quick commercial break. Up next, these two will continue to battle head to head to find out if natural gas is what we need, or the last thing we need.
Hey there, are you wondering how natural gas gets into your home? Well, look no further. I'm going to show you how with this easy to follow diagram and explanation, you'll be learning in no time at all. First, we start out with natural materials, like plants and foods that decompose. This lets off energy-rich gases into the air. Our producers take these gases and clean them up, make them look nice. They then inject the new and clean gases into pipelines that flow into your homes. It's that easy. And now for some finishing touches. There we go. See, that wasn't too difficult to follow. You'll be an expert on natural gas in no time if you understood this explanation.
Welcome back to the show, where we had Luca Maniscalco and Aiden Potzel battling on the logistics of natural gases. Where were we, boys?
We'd be able to buy more panels if we weren't spending all our money on natural gas processing and infrastructure.
But we still need to create solar panels and ship those around the world the same way we ship natural gas. There's no real difference in those 2 points.
Aside from that, natural gas, in order to be usable, requires you to extract only the methane, leaving many harmful byproducts.
Well, I see you've brought some valid points of reason into this argument, but I still believe that natural gas is the way we should proceed for now. I don't think any other would be better than that.
Natural gas. Natural gas is primarily methane, or CH4, with smaller quantities of other hydrocarbons. It was formed millions of years ago when dead organisms sunk to the bottom of the ocean and were buried under deposits of sedimentary rock. Subject to intense heat and pressure, these organisms underwent a transformation in which they were converted to gas over millions of years. Natural gas is found in underground rocks called reservoirs. The rocks have tiny spaces called pores that allow them to hold water, natural gas, and sometimes oil. The natural gas is trapped underground by impermeable rock called a cap rock and stays there until it is extracted. Natural gas can be categorized as dry or wet. Dry gas is essentially gas that contains mostly methane. Wet gas, on the other hand, contains compounds such as ethane and butane, in addition to methane. These natural gas liquids, or NGLs for short, can be separated and sold individually for various uses, such as in refrigerants and to produce products, like plastics. Conventional natural gas can be extracted through drilling wells. Unconventional forms of natural gas, like shale gas, tight gas, sour gas, and coal bed methane, have specific extraction techniques. Natural gas can also be found in reservoirs with oil and is sometimes extracted alongside oil. This type of natural gas is called associated gas. In the past, associated gas was commonly flared or burned as a waste product, but in most places today it is captured and used. Once extracted, natural gas is sent through small pipelines called gathering lines to processing plants, which separate the various hydrocarbons and fluids from the pure natural gas to produce what is known as pipeline-quality dry natural gas before it can be transported. Processing involves 4 main steps to remove the various impurities: oil and condensate removal, water removal, separation of natural gas liquids, sulfur and carbon dioxide removal. Gas is then transported through pipelines called feeders to distribution centers or is stored in underground reservoirs for later use. In some cases, gas is liquefied for shipping in large tankers across oceans. This type of gas is called liquefied natural gas, or LNG. Natural gas is mostly used for domestic or industrial heating and to generate electricity. It can also be compressed and used to fuel vehicles and as a feedstock for fertilizers, hydrogen fuel cells, and other chemical processes. Natural gas development, especially in the United States, has increased as a result of technological advances in horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing. When natural gas is burned, there are fewer greenhouse gas emissions and air pollutants when compared to other fossil fuels. In fact, when used to produce electricity, natural gas emits approximately half the carbon emissions of coal. Despite fewer emissions, natural gas is still a source of CO2. In addition, methane is a potent greenhouse gas itself, having nearly 24 times the impact of CO2. During the extraction and transportation process, natural gas can escape into the atmosphere and contribute to climate change. Natural gas leaks are also dangerous to nearby communities because it is a colorless, odorless, highly toxic, and highly explosive gas. That's natural gas.
If I've learned anything from today, it's that sometimes natural gas can be pretty bad, but other times it can be pretty good.